If you have not seen this case of this old French man who gave his wife tranquilizers and anti-anxiety medication so that she could be graped by dozens and dozens of strangers on the internet. This is a terrifying story, but I have some things to add to it that, well, because I'm in France, so I'm trying to keep track of this story here. And I also know a few things about the way the law works here. I still don't know a lot. If you are French or not French, but live in France and know more than me, please add to this, because I do not have time to study French law all day to try to explain this case. There are a few things I understand, and also my own personal experience, some of these themes. So, massive trigger warning, by the way. And if you're new here, I'm a storyteller, journalist, and comedian. I know those don't all fit together, but somehow they do for me. Writing about domestic violence, relationships, and all this stuff for a really long time. Join my Patreon if you want to see more personal stories, or join my lives. I'm actually on Thursday, in 2 days, having one of the lawyers that took down Larry Nassar. Larry Nassar, the dude who essayed hundreds of gymnasts, including Simone Biles. Yeah, that badass woman, she's going to be on my live on Thursday. So join my Patreon. Top 2 tiers if you want to be there. If you have been following what happened to me this week, where a dude off at me or to me on the river when I just tried to go to a public swimming hole that I've been going to for 6 years now, and I was just escaping the heat because there's no air conditioning here. Some of the comments that the men left on that video, those men need to be researched. Those men should probably be on a list. Those men who do that in public, I promise you, they're doing more than that. And this case is a perfect example. Why just like men are doing things to women in public, they are probably doing so much worse behind closed doors. By the way, the reason why that video is now privated is because men were saving it to get pleasure themselves watching me be terrorized by a man. I looked at who was saving it. Some of it was women and whatever, that's normal, but why would an old man who only follows family accounts and all young women want to save that video of me literally live reacting to this thing I was terrified of? Sick forks. Just to recap this case, and again, massive trigger warning. This father of 3 recruited men off the internet in a chat room to grape his wife. He would crush tranquilizers, which is in another article, they say, an anti-anxiety medication, and put it into her evening meals so that then men that he met on the internet could come over and grape her, and he could watch and video it. Now, the woman, this poor woman, this wife, she, God, just given what I went through, just trying to tell a story about a man doing this to me, and like the internet did far more damage than the man himself. The fact that she is letting this be public it blows my mind. This, protect this woman, protect her and her family, and may this man, I don't know, I don't even want my mind to go to the places that, whatever. This man right here, this father of 3, she waived her right to anonymity, but I'm gonna get to that in a minute. As well as another case that shows why this man will not get very much time. Even if he's found guilty, this man will be out and do it again later. I believe, based on what I know about French law. Well, maybe not, because he's old. He's got to live a while. But only because he's so old. Because of the way that they handle these kind of cases here. But again, I'm going to get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. But as upsetting as this story is, I want to hang on to the hope that this woman is going to, a lot of times the change only comes from really seeing the truth first. We can't change something if we don't know what the problem is. And this case, this woman is like, I want everyone to see what this man did. My own husband did. And I want the world to see all the men who did this to me, even though they're claiming they didn't know. I can't imagine the level of trauma this woman is going to experience as a result of this case. But maybe the world will finally start to slowly reckon a little bit more with how terrifying men are and what they're truly capable of, and how the justice system fails women all the time. So the judges They debated on it, and they decided to grant her her wish of complete publicity until the end of the case. So even though she's going to have to live through all of these grapes again, and basically, you know, the second grape, as I talked about, which happens to survivors when they actually try to tell their story or give, look at you, rotisserie chicken again. Here we go. So this is our therapy dog for this story. She did not want a trial behind closed doors because that's what her attackers would have wanted. And notice she said attackers. So she doesn't just want her husband to, she wants all these men who are like, oh, I didn't know. I thought this was something, you know, like consensual. She wants all of them humiliated, and good for her. So her husband knew exactly what he was doing. Like, he was very careful to try to not get caught, but then he got a little cocky. I'll get to that later on. He recruited men online and instructed them to avoid smelling of any kind of fragrance or cigarette smoke. Of course, that's such a French reference right there. So many people smoke here. Anyway, because he didn't want anything alerting his wife to it being someone else. And they instructed to leave if she moved so much as an arm. Like, this level of detail shows me that this man, he said, like, he's going to try to claim he had impulses he couldn't control, urges. No, you didn't. Somebody with urges and impulses is not premeditating stuff like this. This kind of stuff that men say to get away with this stuff hurts men. Because if I am led to believe that all men just have an impulse control problem, then why don't we just get rid of all of them? If they can't control themselves, what's the point of them? Let's just get rid of all of them, and you will never convince me that's the solution. Just get rid of all men. So this kind of stuff, I'm telling you, men, if you do not start distancing yourself from these boys will be boys kind of stuff, you are like, you're digging your own grave, because you really don't want women to think all of you have no control. That is not a good thing for you, even though you use it to get out of accountability. So the only reason why this guy got caught is because he was arrested on November 2nd after a security guard caught him filming up the skirts of women in a local supermarket. Thank you, security guard. Thank you, security guard, for reporting that. This woman would have continued to be like, that is the only reason why this man got caught. Because police found a file labeled abuses. Like, bro, come on, you are so confident. Like, could you put like birthday or anything? Like cousin Greg from Succession or something. Anyway, he put abuses on a USB drive connected to his computer that contained 20,000 images and films of his wife being raped almost 100 times. Oh, and there's more on that file, but just hold on a minute. I'm getting there. It gets so much worse. Now, this dude has always declared himself guilty. Like, how could you try to even refute this, honestly? But what he blames it on is so infuriating. Back to that in a minute. So he health records show that he obtained 450 sleeping pills in 1 year alone. I can't believe this woman's alive from how much this man was fucking her. The 50 men on trial with him include a local counselor, a nurse, or nurses, a journalist, a former police officer, well, that doesn't surprise me, a prison guard, that doesn't surprise me, soldier, that doesn't surprise me, firefighter, that doesn't surprise me, civil servant, and many of whom lived around this town of 6,000 people. Men were between the ages of 26 and 73. Look at this crap. Several of the accused have denied the charges, telling police they had no idea that she was married to him. Wasn't a willing partner, and they accused this man of, they're a victim of this man tricking them. And there was more men. There's 30 other men that they have not been able to track down. And all of them were recorded. This is just 50 of them. If you are forking someone asleep, you are graping them. If you are forking someone passed out, asleep, who literally can't even talk, and you are given instructions to not smell like cigarettes or anything, a cologne or whatever, and to leave if she moves, you are a rapist. Fork off! I know that French lawmakers were like, I don't know. I tried to look all this up, y'all. I spent hours researching this, and then I finally like, okay, I'm just gonna admit I don't know all the laws entirely in France, but I do know that like consent seems to not necessarily be. I don't know. Just not consenting doesn't seem to necessarily mean grape. Not in the way that is like considered violent and whatever. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't read any more articles in another language and trying to translate them and whatever. Someone please fill me in. I have some French followers. Please help. You won't convince me that they didn't know that it wasn't consensual or that they were married when she was almost. This man gave her so many like tranquilizers and stuff. She was almost in a state of a coma. She has no memory whatsoever of any of these things happening. One morning she woke up in a panic with a new haircut without understanding how that was possible. She went to her hairdresser who told her she had been in the previous day. Like, this woman was so out of her mind because of this man. I don't even know how much she was conscious in general. This went on for 10 years, y'all. Her husband, the father of her 3 children, was doing this. Look at this. They're now divorced, of course. She believed she had an illness that nobody could explain and consulted several doctors, always accompanied by her husband. Imagine this man going to the doctor being like, I don't know, honey, what is wrong with you? The betrayal, this is like a level of betrayal I don't know if anyone could ever get over. This is the one of the biggest betrayals I think I've ever read about in my life. A husband who blamed her symptoms on tiredness after looking after their grandchildren. So there's grandchildren in this home. And once you find out about what he did to his daughter, her 3 children and other relatives suspected that she had Alzheimer's. Like, oh my God, I can't believe she wasn't even put in a home. Of course she's not going to put in a home because he needs to keep having men on the internet grape her. God. Okay, y'all, I'm trying to get to this case. I really did not want to talk about this, but people keep asking me, and it also, like, is it really important? And I promise I'm going to start talking about more fun stuff soon, or I'm going to make myself. This is just too much. Of course, the prosecutors, public prosecutors, and lawyers for the defendants had asked for the trial to be behind closed doors for decency and to protect all parties. No, we're not protecting y'all. Everyone needs to see that these, family men in the small town, the firefighters, policemen, the politicians, the journalists, all these men who were family men were doing this. Shame them. Name them. Show their face. I can't believe this woman is going to put herself through this, but my God, please protect this woman. So this trial involves extreme violence repeated over 10 years. Photographs will be circulated, videos, okay? Now, they tried to argue that this is dangerous for public decency and would undermine the dignity of the individuals, both victims and defendants. Undermine the dignity of the defendant. I am not somebody who's usually on the side of the law, given how racist and sexist and just how it usually protects predators. Given that the law is constantly ruining the lives of families because it's so racist, and almost always lets men get away with stuff. I'm almost always never just going to be for the prosecutors, but in this case. But her lawyers objected, saying she wants people to know what happened to her and believes that she has no reason to hide. No one can imagine that my client will find any satisfaction in exposing what she suffered. She wants this hearing to be open so that justice can be done in public. And that's the thing. They want this stuff in private. If there's anything I learned from just trying to tell a story about literally being assaulted by a man down by the river, if there's anything I learned from that is that I absolutely understand why women do not do this and that they want to shut you up. So she gets nothing from this. Nothing. All she's going to get is more abuse, more trauma, more nightmares. She actually is like, oh my God, she is like, I can't believe she's about to put herself through this. So much respect to this woman and her family and her daughter, which we're going to hear about in a second. Whether one likes it or not, this trial goes beyond the limits of this courtroom, and going behind closed doors also means asking my client to be locked in a place with those who attack her. Oh my God, I love that. I just got chills. Because the thing is that like we would probably eventually find out who, like her picture would be out there. We would find out who she is somehow, probably. I love this. She doesn't want to be in a room with just these people. If she has to go through this again, she wants them to have to go through it. After deliberating, the 5 professional judges hearing the case ruled that it could be held in public. Thank you for doing the right thing. So Dominique is accused of look at this. It's so much worse, y'all. He's accused and murder of a 23-year-old real estate agent in Paris in 1991. Sophie Narm, I'm not sure, was shocker, wronged, and raped and in the chest. Another estate agent, 19-year-old, a teenager, was attacked in a similar circumstance but escaped after fighting back. So this dude, and the only reason we know that he did all this is because people paid attention to him assaulting women in public in a grocery store, and somebody did something about it. Thank you, security guard, whoever you are. Police have said DNA extracted from blood at the scene matched his profile. Well, so, okay. He did it. Allegedly. Sorry, I don't want to get in trouble. So this is the part that may confuse a lot of people. The trial is expected to last 4 months. Him and the 50 defendants faced 20 years in prison if convicted. 20 years? That doesn't seem like much, especially if you literally, like, were trafficking basically your wife to, what is it, 80 people, I guess, because 50 plus 30 that they couldn't identify. So my understanding is, because they've come up against this before, serial offenders don't get as much time. And, you know, as much as I am all about, I really do believe in rehabilitation. I really believe, I am really trying to be less punitive and less like this idea. Like I don't believe in the prison system, but at the same time, I really don't know what to do about men like this. Like, I don't know. I don't know enough about like this particular topic to speak on it. I'm going to defer to some of my mutuals who can explain this more, because I do believe in rehabilitation, and I don't like the prison system, and it's literally a big business, and it's racist, and it doesn't give justice, and it creates, like, I don't believe in the system. I just don't don't believe in like letting men like this just go out and do whatever, because my understanding is that this is based on trying to rehabilitate rather than like giving someone like Nasser got what, like, I don't forget how many years he got, but like that man will never ever be out. Thank God. But I don't know, like French people who follow me, feminist French people, please help me out here. In certain cases, I think releasing men like this, they should be a little tougher, or at least, I don't know. I've had like a really long week because of what happened to me. This was definitely not something I wanted to talk about, but I got pulled into it, and so many people have asked me to talk about it, and it's only because I literally just, it felt personal to me, because of what happened the other day. Men who go out and put cameras under women's skirts, you will not convince me they're not doing more than that. Maybe it's what they're doing before they do more, or maybe they're doing a lot more like this man, and then they go out and just get a little bit too cocky. But those men, it is never just them doing that. They are not just doing that. You will never convince me that that's all they're going to do, or that's all they have done. So people who are like, whatever, men on my comments, I swear to God, I took some screen grabs of your username. If I could, men telling me I should help a man out who is off to me without my consent, you probably do this, and you are probably like a rapist. Like, why else would you think that way? So this is why we need to start taking those kinds of crimes more seriously. Because if they have the audacity to do that in public, what are they doing in private? Probably not anything less awful. So I'm going to get back to this case in a minute, but I want to draw attention to a case that happened a while back to give you an example of why that people are asking for things to be changed, or at least in my limited understanding. So this case right here. So a repeat offender. Oh, I know it's too much for you too. Y'all, my therapy dog needs his own therapy. He can only handle so much of like whatever. So this 15-year-old was raped and unalive. Firefighters found her dead in an empty burning building. Strangled her with a cable, then started the fire to cover his tracks. The attacker spent 18 years in prison for 9 rapes, 3 attempted rapes, and a SA. He was released in 2016. Wow, that's a lot of grapes for a lot of people. Why was he released? Now, this has all been translated by Google Translate, so this is not like, there's always errors in this. My understanding is that the laws are like this, again, to like, in hopes of rehabilitating people. But when I looked this up about like, what are the punishments? So for instance, violence, these kinds of violence, can get, depends on the circumstances and the severity. A simple assault, whatever that means, is punishable by a maximum of 3 years in imprisonment and 45 euros. While a violence resulting in total incapacity to work for more than 8 days. For some reason, this very specific thing about work days does not surprise me. Anyway, if you can't go to work for 8 days, then it's like a big deal. But when it comes to like schmegsual assaults, like, how do you even measure that? I went to work, I went and performed a one-woman show the day that I had a TV thrown at me and my fingers almost bitten off. Like, yeah, I mean, I worked the day after I was raped violently the first time from my ex. Like, Simone Biles won a gold. Was it gold, right? Like, she was literally, this stuff happened at the Olympics. You know, like, I don't even know how you measure this. I don't know. I don't want to get into this too much because it's like not my realm, but I just want to give you all an idea. The law's very different here, and this is kind of like some of the stuff. Now, interesting that drug trafficking is a serious offense, punishable by 30 years. A 7.5 million crime, whereas this man, for what he did to his wife, is facing 20 years. But he was like trafficking her, like, I don't know. Here's the specifically offenses ranging from 5 years and a $75,000 fine to maybe, life imprisonment if it results in death. So, he did 20 years for just, like having 80 men ring her. But, if she had died, then maybe he would get life. I don't know. That's what I'm concluding here. Here's another case just for reference. Another old man, a 61-year-old. So this dude got 20 years. He was raping a bunch of people over a 30-year period of time. He will probably only serve now this is an old story, okay? But at the time this was written, he'll serve at least 2/3 of that sentence. So what is that? Like 14, 15 years? For all of this that I'm about to read. He's a former janitor and a family man, just like all of them, and a pillar of the community. Shocker. That's why I told y'all, you gotta watch out for these firemen, search and rescue, like the pillars of the community. A lot of times those are the very men who are terrorizing their family. I'm not saying all of them do that, okay? So, please do not take this out of context. But look at this. 2018 arrest and subsequent trial for 17 grapes, 12 attempted ones, 27 assaults. I don't even know what that means. Like, I don't know. An expert psychologist consulted by the court spoke of a gulf between the social face and the hidden face of the accused. This is why people are always like, this is why I try not to use the language of he's a monster anymore. Because, I'm sorry, but somebody in your life is a monster like this. You just don't know it. Somebody. I'm not saying in your close circle, but like your uncle, your granddaddy, your dad, your boss, your friend, one of your coworkers. There is somebody in your life, if not many of them, who are terrorizing their family behind closed doors. I promise. At least one, at least one. It's not just these random monsters. The law is not up to the seriousness of this person's crimes. And I would say it's not up to this current case either. It's 20 years. That's what this man's facing. The maximum penalty of 20 years is so little for 56 lives destroyed. 56 lives. 56 different people. 20 years. It's the same. One person, 56. That is my understanding is why this is so messed up, is they don't take into account how often it happens or how many people. Like, what? This part right here pisses me off so much. It's what they always do. This dude confessed to like 40 of the 56 things and said he attributed it to uncontrollable compulsions. That's what they always say. Boys will be boys. I couldn't help myself. And they also think that there's a lot of victims who did not come forward. Around half the victims stayed away from the trial because they've been complaining they'd been mistreated when trying to file criminal reports and told they were lying. Shocker. I've been reliving this for 22 years. It's torture, said one of the women in court. Look at this crap. I guess they do this in the U.S. They do it here. Expert testimony suggested that he was frustrated. It's his frustration at what he felt was a lack of recognition in his personal, professional, and sporting lives. He also coached a local football team. Shocker. Oh, he's the coach everyone loves. May have contributed to a desire to dominate and inflict terror on others. No. He wasn't recognized enough. If he'd only been recognized enough, he would not have destroyed 56, or maybe not destroyed, because I believe that they hopefully will heal from this. Terrorized 56 people. Oh, because he didn't get the recognition. For what? You're already praised by what else do you want? God, this is all, I swear, entitlement. Unhealed trauma and entitlement. Patriarchy takes those two things and makes the most awful men. Same with white supremacy culture and all the other isms. Look what he said. The defendant himself said it would be impossible for him to reoffend if he's released from prison. I've caused too much unhappiness around me. When I attacked the people, I didn't realize how serious things were. I just didn't know. I didn't know. Look at him playing dumb, playing the little boy. I swear to God, men are just like, I deserve the world. And as soon as they get in trouble, any woman who's married to a king baby will play stupid. I didn't know I was raping so many people. Look at this dude. I'm sorry this is another case, but I just want you to see this is what they say. His youngest victim was between 13. So he's also, oldest victim was 18, and they were all attacked in the exact same way. Surprise, on a deserted street, early winter mornings, strung around, and then dragged into the nearby bushes. Used, knife, glove, cords, blah, blah, blah. Look at this. I hung around. I watched where women would pass by. I have the nature of a hunter. I believe it was my mutual sovereign warrior. Hopefully I'll remember to tag her. She did a whole video about what men, y'all need to, this is what I'm saying. This whole, boys will be boys, and we're hunters. Y'all really need to stop using that language, because that man's like, I'm a hunter. If you're a hunter, that means you're a predator. The Sovereign Warrior did a great video about that. I've been meaning to talk about, but I have 50 videos I've been meaning to talk about. But men who excuse men's behavior is well, we just have this hunter mentality. Really? You're hunting women? You need to be behind bars, or whatever. You are a danger to the community if you see yourself as a hunter. And player is just another version of that. So these men who are trying to sell them how to be a player, y'all are literally normalizing men being predators. Is that what y'all want to be known as? Because that is women who are get rid of all of them, that. We are we are not going to date y'all the more y'all convince us that you all are predators. All of you. I don't believe you are, but you hanging on to that language to justify terrible behavior is not going to end well for y'all. Get on board with feminism and deconstructing and holding yourself and your bros accountable, because this is not going to end well for y'all. Even those of you who are not monsters, nice guy. So the reason why I went so much into that case is I want you to understand that man that did all that Like these men who, like, they're not getting big sentences, and that's why. And they're all using the same language. So do not be surprised if this man gets a very light sentence compared to what he did, because my understanding is that the laws are really not allowing for the nuance necessary for this kind of crime. Because, but like, come on, we don't really take like grape, domestic, like whatever, beating and like graping women is like whatever, like. Don't take it seriously. Don't even take it seriously when it's against children. So let's get back to this case. This guy worked for the power company. Like, that's my power company. You know, just like a good dad, father of 3, has a good job. A total of 92 grapes were committed by 72 men. Oh, sorry, I did my math wrong. 51 of whom were identified. Again, between the ages of 26 and 74. Police began to investigate him right after, you know, he'd been caught with the skirt stuff, right? They found, this is, y'all, it's going to get bad. Watch out. They found hundreds of pictures and videos of his wife on his computer, visibly unconscious, mostly in a fetal position. All this stuff in their home. This is all on this chat site that has now been shut down, thank God, called coco.fr, where he recruited these guys. Look at how they said this. I really hope this is like a Google Translate problem, because like intercourse, it's like when they had, I did a whole video last year about like the women who were graped after they're dead, and they're literally in the morgue, and they keep saying have schmegs. This language matters. So tranquilizers, and especially Temesta, and an anxiety reducing drug. You know, the reason why this gets me is like so many women are on anti-anxiety medication because of the stress of men, their husbands especially. So he's using, oh God. So the abuse started in 2011 when the couple was living in Paris, and continued after they moved to Maison, I guess is how you say it, 2 years later. The husband took part in and filmed them and encouraged other men using the degrading language. Okay, so not just like literally like, yeah, come over and grape her and talk to her like, God! And no money changed hands. That is so much worse. If this dude was like doing it for money, it wouldn't be any better. But I'm like, there's a motive of like greed or something, but no. He literally just punished her, terrorized her, the mother of his 3 children, just for fun. Some of the men were single, others married, others divorced, some were family men. Most participated just once, but some took part up to 6 times. Imagine going back 6 times and then being like, oh, I don't know, I thought it was just like a libertine couple. Many have said they thought they were simply helping a libertine couple live out a fantasy. And okay, I've talked about this before. I have a friend who is deep in the libertine community. I have been to shrimp clubs, to like the naturalist beaches and stuff. Like, I know this world a little bit. I'm not deep in it by any means, but you know, I have friends who are in it. I'm sorry, but consent is the pillar of that community. Go to any sex club in France, and consent is the foundation. I'm not saying stuff doesn't happen, but I'm saying that they in that community, like the rules are enforced by like the owners of the clubs and stuff. Like, I'm sorry, but like this is BS. We're just helping a libertine couple out. Okay, she literally can't talk. She is not awake, and you have instructions to leave if she moves or has any sign of waking up. And you're gonna tell me you thought you're helping a couple out? Incroyable. Because investigators said they all knew that they are all aware that his wife had been hanged without her knowledge. How could they not know that? So yeah, show all their faces. Show all their faces of these family men in this little town. An expert said that her state was closer to a coma than sleep. Only 3 men left the house quickly after arriving. There's that word intercourse again. Hopefully this was a Google Translate problem. So there are only 3 men out of all the ones who showed up were like, whoa, this is not what I thought it was. This was grape. Okay, the next line makes me so angry. Are you ready? Dominique said he was raped by a male nurse when he was 9. That does not surprise me at all. That actually lines up. Have you seen interviews with the men who've done some of the most horrific crimes? Almost all of them were when they were children. Doesn't mean if you were that you were going to end up being this way, but a lot of men who do stuff like this have trauma from their childhood, and this is what gets me. When men do not deal with their trauma, the entire community pays the price, especially the women and children in their lives. I'm sorry this happened to you, but I was also, as a child, a lot. And I didn't think to do this. Most survivors would not think to do this. This is why whenever I'm talking about patriarchy, I'm like deconstructing patriarchy and dealing with your trauma, because so many men have a lot of trauma and they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to talk about it. They just want to pretend, I'm a tough boy, I'm fine. And then they're doing this. They're living a double life. Or they become addicts and then destroy the lives of their family by gambling it away or drinking it away, or, and again, when men, domestic violence oftentimes involves substance abuse. Which is another reason why, I'm sorry to mention this again, but Blake Lively trying to promote her alcohol beverage at a domestic violence movie premiere. I have so much to say about that, but that ship has sailed and I do not have the energy. This trial may not be his last, because then he's going to have to face all this stuff. This pisses me off. Experts said that the man does not appear to be mentally ill, but in documents seen by whatever, they said he had a need to feel all powerful over the female body. Join the club. How many men feel this? How many men feel this? Okay, you're not special, bro. Oh, and by the way, this man, when he got busted looking up women's skirts at the supermarket, when he was with his wife, he called it an impulse that he had while his wife was looking away. Like this poor woman. Now, in addition to all this happening, he was doing this to other women while she was with him. It gets worse though, I'm sorry y'all. So this is some of the French press that I saw today. Apparently today the daughter had to run out of the courtroom. Apparently she's written a book about it called, in English, and I stopped calling you dad. She was seized with tremors when they read the passage about her. Because on that file, that USB file, there was also one, her called Around My Daughter. And in that file contained photos of her. So when they started talking about this, she collapsed in tears and supported by her brothers and her mother, apparently had to leave the court. So I don't know. I guess he maybe distributed pictures of this too. So he didn't just take pictures, apparently distributed pictures of his wife and his daughter. And other people, I don't know, I guess, oh God. And by the way, again, he's facing the same sentence as all the other dudes. This ringleader of all this, 20 years. He also said this on that chat room, you're like me. You like grape mode. And again, this is why these guys can't pretend like they didn't know what was happening. He explained that that he administered this stuff. Not only to grape her, but to have her to practices that she would normally refuse. I don't know what that means. I really don't want to know at this point. This story is too horrific. But probably everything he's ever wanted to do to her or tried to do that she's refused, he got men to come over and do it for him. Okay, so some people are reporting it's 92 grapes. I don't even know what else to say. But this is why we have to take it very seriously, men who are doing these crimes out in the community, because they are already prepping for what they're going to do later on, because they build on their audacity and whatever. And like I went over in my video about my own assault the other day, that explains why men, without women's consent, it is always based in violence and power, and not just men who can't control themselves. And I would argue it's the same thing for men who are doing, putting cameras up women's, phones up their skirt. It's the same thing. It's the lack of consent. It is the stealing of something. And as experts have said, this should always be seen as an expression of violence, not a deviant act, and definitely not libertine stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm sorry, this was a hard one. Let me know your thoughts. Okay, palate cleanser, comment song, Moses' teeth. I hope you feel better. This is the time to comment. Look at this dog. I'm sorry he disappointed you by paling in the middle of a terrifying topic. Anyway, I'm not feeling the comment song today. Anyway, simple pictures of Mose to make you feel better because he didn't do his job today. Anyway, I'm also taking submissions for the comment song stuff because I'm leaving out cats. Thank you, Erica, for this photo. I don't think the dogs should only be the ones in the comment song to make you feel better. So here's another cat photo. Thank you again, Erica. Anyway, I'm back. But not quite there yet. So please be patient. Thank you for listening. Let me know what you have to say in the comment song.